Paging the city manager to the dais.
All right, it's 6:05. Let's start the April 27th regular meeting of the Kennedale Economic Development Corporation. Roll call.
Place 1 Eubanks.
Present.
Vice President Terry.
Present.
Place 3 Michaels.
Here.
Mr. President, are you here?
Here.
Place 5 Navarez.
Here.
Place 7 Glover.
Present.
Mr. President, you have a quorum. Dustin Verona is absent.
Thank you. Regular session reports and announcements. Financial reports for the Economic Development Corporation.
Good evening. March is the halfway point through the year, so for the three of you here on council, you will see a slight difference in the financial presentation tonight versus what I presented last week, and that we did get our activity for the town center before I had to publish this series of financials. So our sales tax revenue, 30% of the budget, that's really that's on track with what we were expecting at this point. Our rental fees year to date at 54%. It's a little bit over 50 just due to timing, but that is also within expectations. The EDC operations at 34.4, same as last month. We haven't issued any grant money that we were expecting to, so that's what's kept that number so low. And you can see our fund balance, we have 674 days of budgeted expenditures and transfers out. So we're in a very strong financial position right now.
Have we received any applications for grants?
We have received two, one of which I'm still working with the applicant on. There was a project that was planned that is being pushed to next year, but then they have another project. So I'm trying to work out what would be a better situation for them cost-wise. I don't know what this secondary project cost will be. The first project was well over $100,000, so they were going to hit the cap on that and really exceed the cap. I don't know with this secondary project where they're going to land, so I'm waiting to get that back from them before I make a recommendation. But currently, I've assumed that they would be more likely to apply in the fall window because that would be within a year of the completion. The other applicant contacted him yesterday, and he said to go forward with the application he has. He submitted a couple of months ago. I didn't know if there might have been a change, but I have one that's completed that I'm ready to present in that June meeting as our program dictates. The other one, I just need a little bit more information, but those are the only two that I've received.
John, two quick questions. For Department 6 admin total, if we're at the halfway point for the year, we were only at about 33% used. Is there a reason we're not closer to 50% on that? Do we spend more later in the year with some of the other events we have going on?
Our grant is in that, and we have issued 0 grant dollars.
Well, on Department 6?
Yes.
Okay. And then jumping down to Fund 15 and kind of Fund 95, so those have a negative, are those deficit balances, the 25% and the 28%? The negative values listed there?
That's just our overall total. So our sales tax, our income sometimes exceeds our expense and sometimes it does not. At this point, we're spending a little bit faster than what we're receiving.
Is that the normal pattern and normally just evens out by the end of the
It
year?
is with sales tax. We usually get a big bump with our sales tax after it closes. Our sales tax collections are 2 months behind. There's always a big push right around back to school time where we get a lot of sales tax. So you'll see that in the general fund also at council meetings. Sales tax is definitely not evenly distributed throughout the year.
I guess I haven't noticed it before, but thank you. Just make sure we weren't, if we're running in the red, make sure we get it pulled in the right direction at some point.
Everything right now is operating as expected.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item B, consent agenda. There's nothing on there. Is there anything we need to add under that? Item C, items for individual consideration, discussion, or action. Discuss her update with her CP2 consultants. Button.
Like it's lit up. There we go. I do have an update, but wanted to start with the EDC annual report. Some of you have seen this last week at the council meeting, but I do want to go through that quickly just to celebrate all the work that y'all and the staff have done and the results of that so far. So I don't know how many of these numbers y'all know, and we're talking a lot in this report about specific businesses and what specific employment and investments that they bring to Kennedale. But the end goal of all of that is an increased quality of life for your citizens, right? And so we see that expressed often in your events that you have. And the increase in attendance at the events that y'all have had over the last few years is exciting. Tenfold increase in kid fishermen at Kid Fish and Bark in the Park, and now 3,000 people at this event, so much so that y'all have to split it into 2 events to fit everybody there. So that and more than 6,000 people at Hometown Christmas, which is a more than 100% increase, is a great indicator of the work that you're doing and how much the community appreciates these events. This is, can y'all see it up there? I can see it on my screen, but Bobby Joe, I can't see it there. There we go, thank you. This is a map pinpointing new development. Orange is new development in 2024. Green is new development coming in early 2025. So AJ's Tackle Box is the first one on the list, and they're a 2-man shop. They're not going to be big enough to have huge capital investment or a large employment addition, but they're bringing 30 to 50 visitors to Kennedale each month for their, I have to say it right, Bass Masters fishing tournament, and building community in that way and bringing visitors in. So wanted to get to highlight them. Beard's Towing, of course, bringing 40 employees, having invested $1 million. Southwest Ambulance with their 20,000 square foot new facility that's looking great, and 50 new jobs. On Chipotle, I don't have numbers from the company itself, but we can use Placer AI that y'all subscribe to and see the 20% increase in visits to that area overall. But the really interesting fact here is that 20,000 of those visits in the last 6 months come from this zip code. And so we want to make sure not only that we have a new restaurant and that we are getting the taxes from that, but also make sure that we're serving specifically our residents, and you're doing that. The YMCA that's coming, they're estimating 1,500 members within 3 years. And we're excited to see what kind of increased economic opportunity that brings to Town Center. We're reaching out already to restaurants and retail that are specifically excited about families, yogurt shops, ice cream shops, things like that, where mom and the siblings can hang out while brother or sister has swim lessons, spend some money and increase their dwell time and spend in Town Center. Equipment Share bringing more than 10 employees and $750,000 investment. Y'all are probably already aware of how community-minded they are. They not only do they plan for their employees to take time off to do projects in town, but also in addition to spending money, they're specifically interested in bringing not just their employees, but their employees' families and church youth groups to come do projects in town. This is a picture as of last week of the Learning Center. They should bring 20 to 30 employees with over $500,000 in investment. And y'all already know the kind of value that this high-end childcare has on a community, and allowing families to trust that their kids are well taken care of, high education, and it brings people wanting to move into your city when you've got trustworthy childcare. Glider Express, he's got 55 employees and has invested $500,000 last year, but also exciting is the $1.5 million in planned investment that he wants to do. He's already got plans for a restaurant and gas station. He is, I don't know if y'all have gotten to meet Mohammed, but he's pursuing his MBA and has lots of plans for good development that he wants to do in Kennedale and ways he wants to partner in making the city a better place for residents. He's talking about how he can help with trails and other things to make it an even better place to be. Frontier Waste Solutions, as y'all know, that's a little bit of a cheat. They came in at the end of 2023, but wanted to get to talk about the 50 new jobs they're bringing. I don't know if y'all have been down near Sakuro's development. This was originally going to be 3 individual office spaces, but Texas Damaged Baseball found her, and so she changed her plans a little bit and is making it into one large space for them to use for a practice facility. They will come in, I think she spent $250,000, and they're going to come in and spend at least another $50,000 in investment to get it ready for their teams. It is by...
Old veterinarian place that burned down.
Yes. And there's your before and after on what that looks like. It'll be great when they get their signage up. I look forward to seeing what that looks like.
I can answer that. It's like a baseball training for a club. So they can do private training there, like pitching, things like that. It's actually a local. He actually lives in my HOA and who's renting from a local who built that.
So that'll bring lots of families through there. And then LBK Roofing with 13 employees, they've invested $2 million. They're continuing, I know you've seen their building, we joked about their tiny little sign on that big building, and they're gonna get a bigger sign, and they're actually doing planning quite a bit of facade improvement after they get some hail damage fixed. So bigger sign, some paint, some landscaping to really make that building look great. And I know you've already had meetings with them, and the city has, about how they want to participate in the community. And then these are some of the coming soon items. The Dollar General Fresh Market, which we heard excitement about yesterday. Some small offices on Corey Edwards. A new RV sales place. Of course, Craig's 2 restaurants with outdoor dining in Town Center. And then the next slide covers the hotel, which I know y'all have talked about, 67 rooms with a $300,000 annual tax impact estimation and 14 new full-time jobs, and that's an 18-month estimated completion. Okay, that's the end of the recap from last year. Now on to this year. Christy, could you hand these out for me? I forgot to do this first. I don't, it's just, no, because I made it today. So this isn't our report. You have a report in your packet. This is a little bit of information from the business survey that we started sending out in February. Our intention was and is to get that sent out to more people. We've hit a few roadblocks along the way, but that should go out to not just the chamber list, which is who it's gone out to this far, but the entire business community list will go out to next week. So this isn't a full report on that survey. We'll do that once we get more respondents in, but what I wanted you to see was some of the specific comments that businesses gave. The 2 questions that generated these answers are: what challenges are your business facing right now? And the first set of information was multiple choice from a drop down. They could choose all these categories of challenges that they might be facing. And then the second was a specific text answer box where they typed in specifically what challenge they were facing within those categories. Most of these are not related to the city or the chamber. They're just general economic or industry concerns, but I wanted you to get to see some of the feedback that they've given on concerns that they're facing. And that will help drive, both from a chamber and an EDC perspective, where we can help, where we can provide resources and education, and just walk alongside them. So just wanted you to have that. Again, by this meeting next month, we'll have a more robust report on that entire, it's like a 25-question survey. So there'll be a lot of information in there that's actionable, but wanted to go ahead and get this in front of you so you could get a gist of some of what our businesses are facing. And I'll give you a minute. Does anybody have, I can't answer a whole lot of questions on that. We said that the answers would be anonymous unless they wanted us to reach out to them about them. But does anybody have any questions about how that part of the survey worked? Or anything else I could answer?
So did you send this survey out through the chamber or through your company?
So this survey went out through the chamber. Initially, it was intended as a chamber. Why are you giving me that look, Jeff? Initially, it was
I never
intended.
got it.
Well, you're on the list.
I know, I'm on the list.
Oh, that's a problem. That's why we're sending it again, not through the
okay.
chamber.
All right, I'm just teasing.
So yes, it was sent out through the chamber, and it'll go out this week to every email, every business email that the city has. We're going to expand our reach.
How many folks, go ahead. How many folks responded?
Okay, so this is my bad. I told you the first time that we had 60 respondents, and I was so thrilled with that turnout. And I had looked at the list and looked for spam responses, but these spam responses were really good. And Christy found most of them. And so it turns out, out of the 60, only 15 of them were legitimate. The spam responses are excellent, y'all. They know what they're doing. And the reason we got those is because, well, we sent out an email and we also put it on Facebook. Facebook is where the spam responses came in. So this time we've added a CAPTCHA question that will prevent that for this round. So I thought it was 60, it was really 15. We're gonna get there though. Anything else on those survey results? Okay, then.
Is this, I'm sorry,
Oh,
just one
go ahead.
question. Is this something, the survey that we can post to either the EDC's website also and not just rely on, I guess, was it email and Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Something we can also post there just for people who aren't on Facebook? Okay.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion to get more respondents.
That'd be great. Because not only does it give us an idea of generally what's going on, but it's the perfect platform to reach out to specific businesses and address specific needs. And we've already used it for that. As part of a follow-up, we've already reached out to all the businesses who responded. We haven't heard back from all of them, but we've reached out and had meetings where we can. And so that's the first thing that we do with those responses is make connections.
Were most of the businesses retail, service-oriented, or what?
I'm trying to think, the ones who responded this time. Some were, well, the school district responded, and most of the responses this time were very small businesses and were service-oriented. But we're targeting everybody. And part of the information that we get when we're done is, what we want is a breakdown of what that looks like Kennedale-wide. Okay, I'm going to come back to my official report. As I've talked about, in April, we met with a lot of businesses to discuss their challenges and future plans. That, in part, helped us create the annual report, but long-term, it will allow us to address specific needs. I've listed some of these here and talked about a lot of them in the presentation. I'm trying to think. Yes, the only one I didn't was RE Watson because they're not in that report. Just got to provide some options for workforce training solutions, which is probably an issue for all of our larger organizations, but got to provide them some options for that. One of the things we talked about last month that we would report on this month is having gotten to do a deep dive using all the data sets that you have available. You use Placer AI, which is fabulous. I wish all of our cities had access to Placer AI, or chose to pay for Placer AI. It's wonderful. Using Esri data sets along with the business interviews and your comprehensive land use plan. These are the objectives where we would suggest focusing our time on as consultants in the coming year. There are so many things that we could do, but we think we are most able to have impact here, and we think they align well with your comprehensive land use plan, the council's goals, and all the potential that Kennedale has. One of those is aggressive outreach to potential restaurants. That's not new, but it's in every data set and every group of people that you talk to. That's the big request. So we've already started to do that, and we'll continue to do that. Branding and communication, that Kennedale is ready for smart growth. We've talked a little bit about that and redoing the EDC website, but that's also covered in the marketing materials that we use and how we're reaching out, not just to restaurants, but businesses looking to come to Kennedale and developers who are looking to have success close into the core of DFW. And that we do that in a very professional and consistently branded way. We recommend that we look at the creation of a TERS in the Oakcrest neighborhood. Not just in Oakcrest, but all the way across 287 to raise funds for redevelopment there. I know y'all are familiar with TERS's. You have one on New Hope Road. We think that that's a fabulous location, as you guys do too. That's why it's at the top of all of your area lists for where to focus on. And because of the challenges of the area, think a financing tool like this is more likely to bring the redevelopment that you want in such an exciting spot. So we would like to consider that. Obviously, we've already done quite a bit of business retention and expansion meetings, and we want to continue that not only making sure the businesses have the resources that they need and felt seen and cared for by the city, but also encouraging them to continue to be active in the community. And then, this is a little bit wrong. I have on here, it's the possible rehab of the AT&T owned wedge up here, but it's not AT&T owned, which is good news, because that would take longer. It's actually owned by LBT. I have it in a note somewhere. A trust that otherwise just owns mineral rights. So we haven't followed that up yet, but it's just a blank piece of property. It's got a great park bench on it, and it just gets mowed, but it could function as a great sign and entrance for Town Center and for City Hall. It's not a lot of land. We wouldn't need to buy it. We just would need to come to an agreement with the owners that we could maintain it. We could make it look beautiful. We could put signage there for city, for Town Center, in a way that's much more visible than the current signage for Town Center, and really do it up big and make it visible and important and make it feel like you're entering something, you're entering a new space in a new area that has its own identity. So we think that could be really exciting and be, in EDC terms, a quick project. You know, nothing is quick, but relative to some of these things, a quick project.
Quick question
Yeah.
before you go on. Why wouldn't we just purchase the wedge if the trust solely owns oil and gas leases, properties, et cetera?
Yep.
Wouldn't we want to at least possibly try to get
You're
it?
right. That would be the first. That
Okay.
would be the first step. When I originally looked at this, I thought AT&T owned it because
Right.
they own the parcel next to it, and that probably was going to be really difficult. But you're right. That would be ideal.
Yeah, okay.
Not have to answer to anybody about it. And so, does anybody have any questions about that list? You're looking at me, Jeff. Or concerns?
Let's talk about the TERS idea.
Yes.
And I love the idea.
Okay.
Here's my concerns. There's 21 TERSs in Tarrant County right now that are active. We already have one. It's such a rare thing, and we're not really well known right now for even utilizing the TERS that was given to us so long ago. I mean, I like the dream big, but I mean, don't you have some concern that won't even like fly right now?
I do. It would have to be done, I'm not saying that we're committing to doing a TERS and jumping into it. TERSs do get upside down. One of the easy pitfalls to get into is to create the TERS too early. And then, so you start that base year in that increment, and there's not development fast enough. And then it just doesn't raise money fast enough, and
Choir, yeah.
say again?
You're preaching to the choir, right?
Yeah, so and so it's hard because you want to get in early and you want to start raising the funds, so because it takes a few years to get any funds, worth using, right? So there's definitely a balance there of really you want a committed developer on board before you start the base year. And it's certainly something that I have helped in writing a TERS before, but I would suggest that we hire a TERS expert and do a lot more research with them and have a lot of conversations with them before we commit to doing anything. So I do share your concerns, but I think that area is going to require big dreams, big funds, and a TERS might be the good tool for it. But you're right, we would have to do significant research and planning before we jumped in.
In order to do that, would it require zoning changes at all in that area?
Not necessarily.
Fairly, so what type of businesses are you talking? Increase the tax?
Well, you currently have, really what we love in a TERS area is a transit-oriented district, which you have. And so I think the zoning per your future land use plan is great. And so, like I said, what we want first is to try to find some developers who are interested and might be willing to commit using the vision that our future land use plan has and the potential of having a TERS there. That clears some hurdles for them, right? To be able to be reimbursed for a lot of their infrastructure costs gives us a leg up over development that they might otherwise put somewhere else.
On this branding and communication.
Yeah.
What do you think that the city could do different, I guess? Is this specifically for EDC, or we're talking about just city-wide?
Specifically for EDC.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. And what's some ideas you ladies have on that?
Well, we certainly need a property list there.
Yeah.
And it just, you market the EDC and you market Kennedale for business like you would anything else. What makes us different, and you're clear about it, and a big part of that is not just the messaging, but it looking great and grand and professional says, hey, we are committed. We're committed to bring you business. We're serious. We spent money on this. We have messaging, we have videos, we have all the demos that you need. Here are testimonials, meet our businesses, that sort of thing. It sets a whole tone of, we're serious and we're ready. And so reach out. We're ready to, we have grants, we're ready to spend money, we're ready to work with you, we're ready to do 380 agreements. It's just putting ourselves out there as we're going to do the work to talk with you and make something work if it fits for us.
So
it's
like
not just-
flyers,
Say
an
again,
information packet, a flyer, a booklet, some sort of
a physical one or a digital one?
either?
For sure digital.
Okay.
We want some of that to be, downloadable packets like that, but also we want it to be a little bit splashy. We want it to look really professional and well done. So the messaging and the look and feel.
So maybe
That makes
even like a
sense.
thumb drive with that information that you can pass out on an expo or something when you go
Yeah.
meet restaurants?
Yeah.
What about videos?
And we'll have a lot of that. Videos are great. There are some new videos, is that right, Daryl? Or some videos y'all were working on? Yes. So we'll be glad to see those. And then what's great about the videos is we can take snippets of those. We can obviously post the long form videos, but we can also cut those down and use snippets where we need them, pull quotes out of them, use those where we need them to really showcase how happy the businesses that are here are and our developers. Like Sakura, right? She's small, but there's a lot of small developers that we need to work with, and so that we want to work with. And so we'll use all of those resources and put them in just a really well-designed package specific to the EDC.
Okay. So you will be not only utilizing for when developers or whomever comes to us, but you will be using this for direct marketing to developers or whomever?
Yes, certainly in a one-on-one capacity. I don't know about in a broadcasting capacity, but certainly in one-on-one. When I'm talking to somebody at a meeting or a conference, it's great to be able to hand them a business card and say, hey, check out our website.
All right. Just two things I kind of, I guess, want to put on your plate of my concern maybe to look into. One is office space development. I think there's a high demand, and maybe Daryl can speak on this a little bit better than I can because he gets phone calls, but there's a high demand, but we don't have anything really besides the new building coming.
Right. What a specific kind of office space? What are y'all hearing about?
What do you think, Daryl? You get the phone calls more than me?
It's general office.
Okay.
We get also for office warehouse as well.
Yes. Good. So one thing that is not on my report, but that I did promise last time I would report on and want your thoughts on, is the old Kennedale campers. I know, I have not been able to get a hold of the realtor on that. Do y'all know any updates on that since it came through council for a zoning change? Okay,
Yeah, I have the information.
okay,
Sure.
okay.
Would common desks be also a good idea for this area? Common desks is office space rental, yeah.
There's been some talk with some chambers members about going in and starting an office space rental for a long, long time. It is a consideration. They're really hot, now they're not, but now they're coming back again all of a sudden with like a nationwide membership kind of thing. You can go anywhere and work out kind of mentality with office space. So they are definitely coming back, but there is some talk locally to do it on their own.
Also on the office front, we have a developer that we really like working with and that does light industrial and office space. Y'all are probably familiar with Empire Holdings. They've got a new light industrial and office development on the south side of the loop. It's dark gray metal. Anyway, they're in Sun Valley. They own a lot of the property over in Sun Valley across 20. I'm always pointing the wrong way because I'm not oriented in here. But they do light industrial and office, and man, they are the best looking metal building developments I've ever seen. They do that. They are gorgeous. They are modern. The landscaping that they put in is top notch. I mean, these places look fantastic, and they're great to work with. I know the owner and her VP well, and would love to talk to them about office in Kennedale if y'all think that kind of setup, it is definitely an industrial look, but very high end. And they're bringing in like French lighting companies and things like that, people who have really high expectations for design, and they would look fabulous. So that might be a good reach out if we want office.
That's definitely a modern trend. You see it in restaurants nowadays, is that rustic metal feel to it with some nice lighting in it. The other thing I wanted to put you guys on the path on is it's really to help us figure something out. With the hotel coming, we have the hot tax increase. We're very limited in what we can utilize that for. Maybe some ideas to give us on how to properly utilize that to bring in business.
Great.
I think that's something that we could put on our radar, at least for the next 18 months.
Yes.
Since they're 18 months away. I just feel like we have some good money coming in, but our hands are tied. So how do we get around that, I guess?
Good. And Placer AI will be a great tool for that because we can geofence any particular business or area and see whether they're really bringing in traffic from outside the city. That really will allow us to free up our hands and our money where it's appropriate to do so.
But just a quick question to Councilman Everett on that hot tax. The first 5 years, they're getting all that back, so that's not a problem for tomorrow.
Yeah, but we even have a possible second coming in, and we've seen the increase a little bit last year with short-term rentals, and then with the big games coming next year in Arlington, there should be another increase. So I don't remember who I was talking to about this, but the limited, what we can do and cannot do is pretty straightforward with it. So I just want to come up with some ideas on how we can use even though a little bit. So moving forward, we have a big plan as it increases on how to best utilize business growth with it.
Gotcha. I just didn't want us to start making plans for money we won't see for 5 more years. Well,
No,
one hotel, I understood there's others, but just on that one.
I don't think I'm even knowledgeable on how to properly utilize that portion of what we get as an EDC. Because of the limited nature. Yeah, we don't have a convention center. Like, what else can we kind of use it on? Water park, we don't have that either. So I just want to see if there's anything else out there that you guys might know or other people might utilize that for that would be beneficial.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely report back on that. Any other questions or concerns specific to this list? Obviously, this isn't the last time we'll talk about it, but before we dive in deep to some of these things. Okay, I'm going to give a brief update on the Chamber. We just finished the Chamber's annual golf tournament, which we played a large role in. It was a success. Thank you for those of you who came out and played. 20 teams participating, and then obviously some that sent money, but not teams, and that's okay. The annual candidate forum was last night. It was well attended. I think we had about 75 attendees and well received. Let's see, the nominating committee will make recommendations regarding the chamber board for the next fiscal year at tomorrow's board meeting, and will present factors for consideration in adopting an annual budget. Along with that, presenting options for changes to membership benefits to better serve our members as renewal season is coming up soon. So that's it on the chamber. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Just one right out the forum, because we were talking about earlier, just
Yes.
confirm, there's no recording of it. Do we confirm that? I know that's not on y'all, but I'm just trying to
There is
figure
not.
out. Okay.
Do we want there to be?
It would have been
Nice.
helpful.
Yes.
So next year.
Yes, next year. So we have a long list for next year. Yes, that was on the list, and those were not delivered. So we will get there earlier next year and make sure those are actually in place. Y'all did a great job, though. I sat at the very back, and I could hear everything mostly. You guys were good and loud and projected well. Okay, thank you.
Okay, item 2, discuss and take action on proposal for interior design services for the YMCA Kennedale location.
Yes, obviously, it's a company that we're asking to come in and help us redesign and get the old Dollar General or the current Dollar General building up to code, first and foremost. We have done several walkthroughs within the property itself. So we know we have some mechanical, flooring, ceiling, structure, throughout the whole building itself. So we're asking for GHC to come in and be able to give us evaluation of what that is and ultimately what the cost to remodel the inside of the building itself. We already know that we're looking at adding a couple of doors, exterior doors for fire emergency exits for that. So that there's going to be a fairly good cost associated with it. And what they'll be able to do is come in and give us the final numbers, what the remodel will be for, or how much it will be.
So quick questions. If you're having to get this side of the building in compliance, don't we have to get the whole building in compliance?
Well, yes and no. Most of them were fire.
Yeah, like a sprinkler system was,
Yeah,
that's the one I was thinking about.
Yeah, the sprinkler system at this point, we do not believe is going to, we're within compliance. And most of it's just for a remodel to get up to today's standards. It's not that it's a true requirement, but if we're going to go in and do a remodel, we're wanting to get it to today's standards.
But we don't have to do next door or the antique mall because it's one big
It's
building.
already been done
Oh, have they?
before those people moved in. They had to be at code. We had to get them code before we could lease them.
I mean, the antique mall's been there for
Well,
long.
for example, some of the electrical, it's just extremely outdated. It's not that we have to come in and redo it, but some of it's where it's located at. So for us to come in and, for instance, it needs new restrooms. There's only one restroom that's not even operational. So with that, those are the things that we're having to go in. And if we're going to have to move some of the electrical on it, we might as well get everything up to date. The lighting, the drop ceiling, things of that nature that just need to be replaced. And more than anything, we want to go in and make sure it's mechanically sound. For YMCA to come in, there are UDC regulations. If it's like a workout facility, if there's a certain amount of people inside the building, the HVAC's got to be at a certain level. And that's what this company does. It'll come out and be able to regulate exactly what we need.
So this proposal, these are just the design services. Are we splitting these costs with the YMCA, or is this on the EDC to pay for it completely?
No, this will be coming straight from us for the design. When it says design, I had the meeting with the design, or GHC and YMCA. So when she's indicating design, it's more like the flooring, the ceiling, things of that nature. She goes in a little bit more, I don't want to say in depth with it, but it was just a conversation that YMCA was looking at, like the electrical, where would we need electrical at? So that's the reason why I invited YMCA. I don't want to go in there and do a remodel, then it's not fit for who we're looking to come in and occupy it.
Has there been any discussion on the actual cost of the project and where that falls and who's going to be paying for that up and above the initial cost here that we're looking at?
We've had several discussions, and it's ranged anywhere from 300 to 750,000 for a remodel. With that, again, it depends on like the HVAC. If we had to go in and put new air conditioning in, that's the 750,000 top out. If we're coming in and the electrical or all this is already fitted right, we're looking closer to the 300,000 mark. With some of the contractors that we've come out, they're indicating probably 300 to 500. Right now, the HVAC seems to be new enough within the last 10 years.
Has the developer shown any interest in sharing costs with the EDC?
They have, and that's where we're still in negotiations of what that's going to look like.
Okay. Quick question on the, start to jump a little bit to the checklist. That's the next page. Can I jump to that, or did anybody have a question on GHC real quick?
Just one more. Are we going to update the internet infrastructure for the building, kind of modernize it? Or are we leaving that up to YMCA, how they want to lay that out?
That portion?
Yeah.
No, I look to get the building to the standard that's recommended.
So we're going to do like internet infrastructure or wiring or wireless infrastructure? Okay, thank you.
All right,
Go ahead, Tyson.
Last question. Since people will be exercising in this thing, is there any requirement for HEPA inside of that HVAC, you know?
Well, and that's what they're going to come in and look at.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Currently, we believe it's within that standard, but we just don't know yet.
So this checklist, is this something that you worked with YMCA on? Is this a template that they provided us? And then secondarily, do we have any say-so in what is checked and what is not checked in regarding to this facility? Or are they going to come to us and say, hey, here's what you're going to get, these are the amenities, and there is no discussion about it?
Well, I wouldn't indicate there's no discussion. There's several of us on the board, a couple of council members, obviously Jeff being one, Chris Gary in the audience is one of them, of course myself, Chad G from the school district, a couple of board
Trustees.
members. This list is something that we went through to indicate that this property can provide this type of service. It's not that it can't be changed or added or deleted or anything like that. It can.
Okay.
We just got to make sure the facility will be able to accommodate that service.
Yeah,
So
I'm-
Tyson, they've been doing like polls in the public. And so this is some of the information they've been gathering of the needs or what our citizens want and desire. And they'll be doing some more polls as we get closer as well.
That's really shocking to me because, you know, you talk to people in the city, the fact that they would run polls and the 3 things on here that give kids something to do are not checked. So no basketball, no pickleball, no pool, and no STEM or esports. So that's kind of surprising, you know, because everybody in Kennedale wants their kids to go do something, right? And have something to do. So And I understand space requirements. I totally understand that with basketball, pickleball, as well as the pool. But it seems esports is becoming a thing. We've got a convention center right down the road here that's big into esports. STEM, if the ISD is on the board, I'm surprised that they're not pushing for the STEM program. Martin's one of the top STEM programs in DFW. I'm a little surprised to see it at minimum STEM and esports is not checked here, and I would encourage those on the board and in the audience to push for STEM esports at a minimum, because that's probably, with the footprint we're working with, really the only one that we can probably squeeze in. Maybe we give up a hydro massage suite.
So on some of these, the esports, for example, they have a location in Mansfield. It's one of the very few locations, and it's the only location where you can actually do like YouTube recordings and broadcasting. It's the only one in the United States that they have. So I think that's kind of where they're leaning on the esports, is they have one kind of nearby. But the other two, there has definitely been conversations about a basketball court just right out here, for example, or it may be a pickleball when it comes to the park. But we just have to see where the park lies, because we're talking about the same thing, and they want, it just depends on how that looks, the baseball fields. But as far as the basketball, there is definitely a talk about that, a heavy discussion. But the esports, I'm just not sure. I am pushing for, because obviously I'm the nerd, for more of that too, because it is a hot topic, but it's not far. It's just 10 miles away where you can go do the esports, and if you're a member, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, and I don't know the facility in Mansfield. I don't know what the capacity is there, but I mean, that's where the puck's going, is STEM, esports. That's where it's going. Basketball is probably as popular as it's going to get. But esports and STEM is going to start picking up, in my opinion, as more people and these kids have less attention spans. They're going to be on, I mean, in my opinion, purely my opinion, but they're likely going to be on video games and need stimulation, if you will. And this seems like a very safe way to do it. So I would love to see that on top of a basketball court in a perfect world. But
And I'll share, there's more activities with esports. I did have a conversation with Eric Turner in reference to bringing that here. There is a need, and I think it's one of the things that that's been brought up several times. I don't want to indicate that it's not a priority for Kennedale, but to a point, Arlington does support that very heavily. But we have, in the plans currently, there's going to be like a community room or a multi-purpose room, and that's where a lot of these activities will be as well. Some of the space is just limited. Arlington was able to have a room that's just dedicated to that. We don't have that capability. That facility, I believe, is around 40,000 square feet, and we're looking at 10,000. So that's where some of the limitations are coming from. Obviously, we're not going to have a pool, but even to a certain extent, we are looking at pickleball. We are looking at basketball courts here at this facility. But there's other limitations that are coming with that as well. It's just not something that's been discussed in open session.
And the focus is not just the kids, it's family-oriented or senior-oriented. And I'm partnering with the city to make sure that whatever we're not giving it to the public, they can pick up, or even partnering to do both. And so that's what the discussion is. And like Daryl said, the community room will allow them to manifest what they want at what time. So 2 o'clock would be aerobics, where 4 o'clock might be an esports kind of scenario. It's just kind of a universal room. For now, again, this is just the beginning of a long-term partnership with YMCA.
okay.
So what,
Yeah. Yeah, very, very nice. Yeah. And it's just like, even like the music, a lot of this is just also staffing. With both YMCA buildings being as close as they are, it's hard for staffing for both. That's the other thing. And again, I just want to express, there's been a lot of discussion with Eric and myself on how do we bring some of these same factors to Kennedale, because I think it does play a role for us of being here. And how do we share that staff between Arlington and Kennedale to maybe have just one night of music or or esports, whatever the case is, at least bring it here and have that option. But space is limited as well.
So on the STEM portion, just to discuss with the folks with the ISD, it would make a lot of sense if we could somehow partner there with the ISD and the YMCA for specific STEM
Yeah,
programs to use the school across the street.
absolutely,
It'll be after hours, it should be empty
absolutely.
so just throwing that idea out there.
And the school district already has a relationship with YMCA. They're already renting out basketball goals and things like that for different sports. So there's definitely a good relationship there. And starting tomorrow, you'll have 3 representatives from Kennedale to be on the oversight board of 40 as well. So there'll be a louder voice on how expenditures go, how things go with YMCA in the south area down here, Arlington, Mansfield, and Kennedale.
Can you just speak to the YMCA and have them verify that they're still going to offer swim lessons at a location with no pool? Because they have swim lessons checked, but there's no pool here, so I want to verify that.
Checked.
Swim lessons across every location, but there's no pool here, so.
It's with an asterisk.
Well, that's because it usually requires an extra fee, but as with 2 kids on the swim team, I was curious about that.
Yeah, what it is, they have already partnered here in Kennedale with a pool. So that's the reason why the service is here. So Hammock Creek, they utilize their swimming pool for those lessons. And we also have a couple more pools that's coming into the city that will probably be utilized as well.
You build it, YMCA will come.
Thanks for the hard work on that, Daryl. Yeah, it's good.
Absolutely. Thank you. If I could get a motion to approve, I would be grateful.
I'll motion to approve the GHC Exhibit A. Is that correct?
I'll second. I'll second.
All in favor? We'd like to have some more discussion.
I'm just kind of concerned on the motion. Should it be a proposal for interior design services for the YMCA? Should that be the motion or not Exhibit A?
So you have a point of order? Because the question's been called.
Yes, we do have a.
Okay, point of order, great, thanks.
So Jason, I think they want you to update your motion to read what's.
I will
says in
update my
C2.
motion to approve the interior design services from GHC.
And I will second his motion.
All in favor?
Is it a point of order?
Point of order?
That's not a point of order.
Nope.
No,
Okay,
no,
go
just a
ahead.
question, just a question. All right. Now, our city manager just said that he's getting another estimate, right? Is this about the YMCA or something else?
No, this is about the remodel of the old Dollar General building.
Okay, right, I'm on, okay. Now, the thing was, you said you were gonna get another estimate, right? You don't know the numbers, right?
Well, not for GHC, no. This is basically architect coming in and giving us a estimate of what it's going to cost to get the building remodeled.
And then you'll
That's
come
what
back
this-
with we'll come back with the proposal at that time.
Yes, that's correct.
Cost.
So all these are just itemized costs that it's gonna cost to do that.
That's correct.
Floor plans and everything laid out.
Okay.
So the engineering.
I guess my only comment, and I'm not changing my vote, my only comment would be, when the construction estimates come in, it would be good to have an idea of what that split will look like at that time.
Well, and ultimately, one of the reasons why I want this also, it gives me the leverage to negotiate what the actual process.
Okay.
That's the biggest question.
Nothing to go with.
Right. I have nothing to say what it is.
Well, so we're talking about $1,500, $1,600 for total for this estimate?
No,
Or this just
38 is your number.
38?
38,000.
That's just a breakdown. of
Oh, that's
what
just a
services
breakdown.
that they're
Oh, okay,
offering.
okay. I didn't see it on this. Okay.
All right. The motion still stands as presented.
For 3,800?
That's for the vote.
No more? Okay. Have a vote to,
Amend it to say 3,800 or 4,000, whatever?
No, it's already there.
it's in the paperwork.
It's in your paperwork.
Oh, I see it. Okay, okay. It was hidden. It was hidden. Okay. I had something else on top of it, so, okay.
No problem. All right. Do we have a vote to approve the motion as presented? All in favor? All opposed?
Thir-
Motion passes. Thank you.
you mean 38,000.
And we don't have anything on executive session, sir?
Oh, sir.
All right. Do we have a motion to dismiss?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to dismiss.
I second it.
All in favor? Thank y'all.